it a willed repatriation? Was it a cynical exercise? The purpose being to get himself repatriated, all expenses paid, and get out of this situation which had become a prison for him. As he said, prison walled in by sea and jungle. Or was it more complicated than that? I mean, did he really have anything wrong with him at all? Was it a masquerade that he underwent, in attending a hospital for tropical diseases in London, and the goddamned neurological institute, and undergoing all these tests? I mean, would you do that if there wasn't anything wrong with you? I mean, was there a financial aspect to all this? I think the psychiatrist, was it? Anthony Clare, said something along the lines of, perhaps he'd been drinking too much, he was under a lot of pressure, his marriage was under great strain, and he just had enough, and so on. I do not know. Whatever the reason for Burgess's decision to throw in the towel here in Brunei, I think we can be with him here. We've all been there. We've all found ourselves in a country, a city that emerges as a kind of prison. It's not working out. One doesn't like the setup there. I mean, in Burgess's case, the setup, the package was obviously unsatisfactory. The living arrangements, the housing was not at all satisfactory. And he decided he'd had enough. In search of Anthony Burgess, in search of the classroom where it all happened, in search of the classroom where Burgess just lay down and threw in the towel. I conclude that these buildings here, though they are fairly old, clapped out buildings, nevertheless, these, I think, post-date Burgess's Brunei period. Look to me as if they're mid-60s structures. What was it all about? Was it that Borneo was a come down after living and working on the Malay Peninsula? Was there a sense for Burgess that Brunei was, to put it most kindly, a very provincial or even parochial kind of place, whereas in Malaya he had been close to Singapore, and it had been culturally more engaging. I don't know, I don't think so. I mean, I think the point about Burgess is that wherever he has found himself, wherever he found himself during his long and useful life, he was able to find enormous interest wherever he was, in the language, in the culture, in the music, in the literature. So I don't think it was that. I don't think it was a kind of cultural snobbery. Not at all. No, I think, well, I think the marriage must have been under enormous strain. He was already fairly well established as a writer there. 3 of the quartet of Southeast Asian novels under his belt. By that time, maybe he was beginning to feel, I've got to set myself up now as a full-time writer. And perhaps the purpose was to seek the exit from school teaching and start full-time as a writer, and he wanted to expedite that move. Thanks. Here's another view of the school where Mr. Burgess taught. Yes, perhaps by 1959, Burgess had decided, yes, I can do this. I can be a full-time writer. And maybe the collapse was a fairly cynical exercise designed to effect his repatriation at the colonial authorities' expense, and to make a quicker move than he had originally planned into a full-time writing career. And perhaps he then endured the Neurological Institute, the Hospital for Tropical Diseases, just to keep up the pretense. Is that possible? It sounds a bit far-fetched. Couldn't he have just broken his contract? Maybe there was something wrong with him, actually. He certainly did not have a year to live. That is one of the pseudo-terminal year. It's one of these myths perpetrated by Burgess and believed by an inordinate number of interviewers, commentators, literary experts of all kinds. This goes to show people will take you in your own estimation. I mean, if you come out with this nonsense, a lot of people will believe you. Here it is, school in Brunei, where Burgess taught, and where he collapsed in the classroom.